I'll also show you. We'll also go there. And someone is asking, can we define validation rules for parameter? Check whether the parameter is valid or not. Definitely yes. We can we can add the validation rules as well. Well, I'll also show you that. And Pawan, you had a question. I can take that and I can move forward.
Yeah, Kiran, initially we started like creating a storage account location
Hmm.
as
Correct.
you shown now. Oh, why
Right.
should we have to do again this ARM templates and do a same process now?
I didn't follow. Can you come again, please?
Initially we created storage account,
Hmm.
location, all that
Okay.
using Azure portal.
Correct.
The process is same again. No, why should you use this
Process is same.
ARM template?
Correct. But what if I tell you to, or what if I ask you to go ahead and create 100 storage accounts at a go using the Azure portal? Will you be able to do that in, let's say, about 10 minutes? Can you do that
No,
in 10 minutes? Then
no, no.
how do you go ahead and repeat the process? Meaning it's a very difficult process to go ahead and, let's say, do all those things in 10 minutes, right? That's the reason we need automation. That's exactly why we started with PowerShell and why we are into ARM right now. Also,
Okay.
if your account gets deleted, where exactly do you save the configuration, or how exactly do you save the configuration is in the format of a JSON file out here.
Okay.
Yes, does anyone have any more questions here before I move forward?
Same resource option, can we create containers also?
Definitely, you can also create containers also. I'll also show you how to create a container too.
What about resource group?
A resource group, no, not directly. There is something called as a linked and a custom deployment out there. Using that, you can create a resource group. But we normally, or we generally don't create a resource group using an ARM.
Okay. Only storage and container.
Storage, containers, virtual machines, web applications, function applications, whatever that are there in the Azure portal. So ARM templates kind of supports around 200 plus resources that you can actually create out there. Since we know about, let's say, storages, I'm explaining about storage, but at a later point in time, we'll also look at other resources like virtual networks, virtual machines, and all these things out.
Kiran, sorry to interrupt. Some freaking sound is coming.
Yeah, that is from someone's mic. Yeah, it is good now. Yes, any more questions, guys?
Hi, Kiran.
Good, please.
Hi. I missed the Friday session. Your Friday session and Monday session both are same or different?
Friday and Monday are not same. They are different. Monday we started with ARM. Friday we ended with PowerShell, meaning we created multiple, let's say, blobs. We uploaded multiple blobs using PowerShell out there.
Uh, how can I review the Friday session?
I'm sorry. Can you come again, please? Your voice is not audible, Venkat. You said, okay, I'll just keep you muted out here. So you said you missed Friday sessions. Did you not get the link for Friday session, guys? The recording link? Just check with the institution once, please. Just check with the
No.
institution once.
No, the
Yeah.
link is not opening.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
You
The
have
link is not
forwarded,
opening.
but yes.
Reply back to the same WhatsApp group where the link is posted. Please reply back on the same, and they'll help you out with the same thing out there. Yes. Any more questions here?
Here
Any
parameter
more
means nothing but a dollar.
parameter here? Nothing but yes. Something that you pass inside the parameter block is something that you're using parameters to pass it out here.
Okay, it indicates nothing but a dollar, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And let me do one thing. In the SKU name, right? There are a couple of properties called type, metadata, description, and all these things out. I'll just do an enter and again do a control space, and I will add one more property called as allowed values. Say allowed values. What exactly do you mean by allowed values is that Let's say I want the storage account only to be created either in LRS or GRS or RAGRS. Only these three options, not anything else. All those things can be passed in something called as allowed values out here. Meaning, what do you want someone to allow to go ahead and create? And how do I pass it? In the form of an array. This is now an array. And if I put a comma here, now I'll say is standard underscore LRS, comma standard underscore GRS, or standard underscore RAGRS. Now, what will this really do out here? How will this really help you out here? So I put an allowed value block. Let me go back into, let's say, the Azure portal. Say custom, create a custom deployment. Say build your own template. Load the file again.
Something
Save it
drop
out.
down list.
LRS, GRS, etc. So now you are not allowed to pass a value, meaning you cannot type a value. You can only select from an available options out here. So now giving an available option for a particular end user to go ahead and say where he wants to create it out. You can do the same thing with location also. Let's say if you want the user to only create your storage account either in East US2 or West US2 or North Europe, only these three locations are allowed. You can again give something called allowed. You can again give something called allowed values out here, which is an array, and you can say it is East US2, North Europe, and something like Central US. Save this out here, and once you come back, and if I just again do a deployment out here, now do you see what is happening right now? Only these locations are allowed. You can only go ahead and create your storage account in these locations, and you're not allowed to go ahead and create it in any other location apart from these. So now you can select from the drop down on what you need, and the name is something that you can pass, like you can just do go ahead and let's say pass any name which is between 3 and 24 characters out here. But what if the user passes a name which is less than 3 characters? Automatically fails. So the validation is inbuilt in the template. You don't have to, let's say, go ahead pass any separate validations out there. The validation is inbuilt in your template. Whenever you do some kind of an error, the template automatically kind of figures it out, and the template automatically kind of highlights all these things out here. Any questions here with allowed values and what exactly I'm doing out here? Again, guys, if you're not following, please let me know. I'll explain this once again. Not a problem. But are you all able to follow this? Are you all able to see what I'm doing out here? Yes, no, any questions still here?
For example, client is asking, can you suggest any storage names to me? If he's asking like that, is it
Mhm.
possible to give allow values?
Definitely, yes, you can give an allowed value. But a better way I would suggest is that, let's say, the client is telling that I will just pass a name. Like, for example, I'm creating a storage account on Tuesday.
Okay.
Just creating a storage account on Tuesday out here. And you should add a couple of things like the name of the team. Let's say development. That's the name of the project. Let's say something like Hola. The name of the region that you want to create it in. Let's say US East 2. I'm just saying UES2 out here. And then say something like 1000, 2000, something like this to build a unique storage account name as such. The client is just telling that, you know what, I don't want to pass all these things. You figure out how do you want to do that. I just want to pass something like Tuesday or Wednesday or something like this. This is the only thing that I'll pass. The rest of the name is something that you will have to, let's say, create, or you will have to build this out. So what I'll do is I'll pass a couple of things. I'll pass a couple of parameters out here. I will say, let me see what are the parameters that I can pass. I will say team name, because you can either belong to a development team or a DevOps team or a QA team out here. Any one of any one of those teams out there. And I will here say allowed values. Can I take an allowed value out here and say it is a dev or a QA, or let's say something like DevOps? And I will pass the values here telling it is dev. Excuse me, can you please wait outside? Yeah, from the next class, is it 9 p.m. Please. Is dev or QA or DevOps, one of these teams out here. And then I will say that there is a default value, meaning whatever as a client that you pass, you are passing a value called Wednesday. I'm saying it is dev plus Wednesday plus something like 000 USEs to something like this. This is the storage account that I want to create. So 0 USEs to something like this. This is the name of the storage account that I want to create, meaning you're just passing a value called WED Wednesday or whatever it is that you're passing. I'll add, before that I'll add the team name. After that I'll add the project name plus all these unique characters out there. So what I'll do is, instead of, let's say, going ahead and passing something called parameter storage name out here, can I say parameters team name? And team name, what is the team name out here, guys? Either it is dev or QA or DevOps. So the client has an option to select one of the team name out here. After that, plus whatever that, let's say the name that, let's say the user passes, like Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever it is, plus can I say it is parameters, the default value? Can I say this? Can I add all these parameters together and then give you a value out here, which brings me something like this? Understanding? Yes,
So
no,
you're
maybe?
arranging the format, right?
I'm arranging the format. But what I'm trying to tell you out here is that while I'm arranging the format, I am just allowing you to pass this particular value called Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever the hell you want, pass it out. But what I'll do is I'll add the team name before. After that, I'll add a default value out here and give you a particular storage account name. So now what I'm telling you is that instead of you passing the entire storage account name, just pass a name. I'll construct that particular storage account name out here. So in order to
Okay.
construct this out, I am telling that I'll take a value called parameter team name. Where did I pass this parameter team name out here? I pass it somewhere here called parameters team name, and the team name again is an allowed value. So you as a client can, let's say, do dev and QA or DevOps. You can select one of those values out here, and then I have a default value out here, which is something like Ola 00 USC to and etc. So what I'll do is, in the default value, or I'll do one thing. I'll say this is just a value inside which I will pass in something known as a default value out here, meaning whatever it is, please just consider this particular value. Something like Ola, USCs to something like this. So when you pass a team name, or when you select a team name, I'll add the team name with whatever is the default value out here and construct a storage account for you. And I am adding all these things out here. Following it, getting this,
Yes.
getting this.
But you should write the top of the template, right?
uh, right in the top of the template. When you say
Yes,
top
but
of
you
the
wrote
template,
the
what
bot.
exactly do you?
Starting itself is a storage name. I have to know.
Right, but again, storage name is something that I'll remove right now because I don't need this. Because I don't want you to pass a storage name right now. I just want probably you to pass a name, simple name, whether Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever it is, the day name out here. So can I declare that name out here after the value? Again, the order of declaration is something that I'm not at all concerned about. You can declare it in any order
Okay,
out here. I'll just say name and I'll say
doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. The order of declaration doesn't at all matter. The order can be anything. I started with storage location, then I have an SKU name, then I have a team name out here, then I have a value, then I have a name. The storage location is the location of the storage account. Again, this is an allowed value. You can select something. SKU also is an allowed value. You can select something. Team name is also an allowed value wherein you can select dev, QA or DevOps. And value here is a default value. Now there is a difference between an allowed value and a default value out here, meaning the default value out here is always this. You can of course change this out, but it is always this particular value. And then finally, you have a name, meaning you as a user, I am just allowing you to pass a very simple name. Anything it is fine. Now, my intention is that when you pass a name, I'll add the parameters team name plus the name that you pass plus the default value that I have. I add all these things and then construct a particular storage account name for you. That is what I'm doing out here. So when you pass a name called QA, I'll say it is team name QA plus whatever is the name that you're passing. Let's say you're creating it on a Wednesday, you're saying it is Wednesday with DWWED out here, plus whatever is the default value that is already declared in my template. Can I add these three things and give you a storage account name? So what I'm doing is I'm constructing a storage account name, but how do I add this? Can I say in the names, can I say it is parameters, let's say team name plus, can I say parameters and can I say something like spelling error? Can I say something like the name that you pass plus the default value? All these are the parameters. Can I tell this? Can I do this out here? Yes,
Yes.
no, maybe.
Can you pass once?
Yes, but there is some error out here that is coming up, right?
Yes.
The template doesn't understand plus and minuses like PowerShell does. This is a different language altogether. You'll have to treat it in a different way. You are
No.
adding multiple parameters together out here and building a name. And if
Comma
you
or
want to,
else.
sorry,
If it is not allowed,
Mhm. If it's not allowed, yes, it's a comma. That's right. But before that comma, you'll have to declare something else, and that something else is called concatenation. Concatenation, in a very simple English, is called addition out here. Concatenation is nothing but addition. Additions, the other word is called concatenation out here. So what I'll do is instead of declaring the name out here, I will say open close square brackets, meaning I'm calling a function and I'm calling a function called concat to add multiple things out here. And what am I adding? So I'm adding my parameters team name with whatever name that you pass with whatever value that I have, which is adding all these things that you have, giving me a name out here. So if I now save this out, deploy the same template, I'll say, okay, if I deploy the same template out here, I'll just say this is the resource group. The storage location, I'll just say it is ECS2. The SKU, I'll say it is LRS. And I'm working with a team called development. I'll say it is dev. Value is by default. The name, I'll say something like Tuesday. And if I now review and create this out, and now if I deploy the template, let's see how the storage account name comes out to be. So now instead of, let's say, passing a name, instead of letting you pass the entire name, I'm now constructing a name out here instead of doing the same passage out there. And now if I refresh this out, let's see how the name comes out to be, and let's see how it, let's say, really looks out to be out there. So let's refresh, and do you see how the name came out? It's a dev, whichever what you selected, the team name what you selected, plus I pass something called TUES Tuesday, plus whatever the default value was. And once all this added, it now came out to be something like this. All this was done using a combination of concatenation and something called as parameters out here. Now what I want you all to do is please let me know what do you mean by the difference between allowed value and a default value. What happens if you don't pass a default value out here? What really happens when you do not pass a default value? How your template really behaves as such? Yes, any questions that I can take? Sorry? Multiple, sorry, can you come again, please? Then it has to be allowed value. If you want to do default value multiple things out there, this cannot be a string. This has to be an array. Exactly. If it's a string, you can only give a one. Because you're declaring it as a string, you cannot give multiple default values out here if it is not an array. Only if it's an array, you can go ahead define, let's say, multiple default values and such. Yes, any more questions here? Okay, can we use default value? Can the default value be edited in the Azure portal? That is what I wanted you all to tell me. Is that can you edit the default value in the Azure portal? What happens if you do not pass a default value? What happens if you pass a default value? Then can you edit the default value in the Azure portal? And what happens if you pass an allowed value? Can you edit the allowed value in the Azure portal while you're deploying it out? These are the questions that I have for you all. So you'll have to tell me whether you can edit it or whether you cannot edit it and all these things. Can repeat it again, not right now, but definitely tomorrow. I'll repeat it once again tomorrow on what are the concepts, what I'm doing out here. But I want you to practice it before I repeat this out. I want you to try this out before I repeat this out here. Again, how many people have practiced yesterday's class? How many people have done yesterday's class out there? If you're not practicing yesterday's class and coming down to tomorrow's class, everything will become Greek and Latin, guys. Everything will just bounce on top of your head. Each and every class that we are discussing right now, one class will be tougher than the other. Each and every class that you go forward will be tougher than, let's say, the before class out there. So my humble request is that please practice the before day's class, only then come to today's class out there, because everything will become, let's say, Greek and Latin for you. And there'll be one point will come that, you know what, you'll have a lot of, let's say, syllabus to cover, and the class will be going somewhere, you'll be going somewhere out there. So you'll definitely not be able to ask me the same questions if you were able to follow the same thing out there. So please follow this out on a daily basis. Only then you will be able to, let's say, take the best advantage of this particular course. Yes, any questions till here? Any questions that I can take till here? Anyone, any questions I can take till here? Anyone, anything guys, till here? Anyone, anything till here? So please practice this out. Let me know if you're able to follow it. If you're not, I'll re-explain it once again, not a problem at all. But I want you all to try this out. I want you all to try this particular concept. Start with one simple parameter like I did, then go to multiple parameters, then go to allowed values, finally come down to something called as concatenation. Read about concatenation in ARM template. You have documentations for it to tell you how exactly this particular function works, what exactly that you can do with the template out there, how to use this particular template function out here. Please look at this. Let me know if you have any questions out here. Yes, any questions? Hmm. You want to show all the locations. You'll have to put all the locations then. You'll have to, let's say, copy paste everything or something like that. You'll have to put everything, but why do you want all the locations out there? But you cannot give the user everything, right? That's the intention of having a template out here. If I had the user, let's say, go ahead give everything, then I would have well asked them to go ahead and create it from the portal. Only in location, yes, you can do that, but you can do that, but you'll have to give all the locations out there. You'll have to type in all the locations out there. Yes, any more questions here? All right, guys, thank you and have a good day ahead. Thank you.